All right, guys, we are live. This is UFC Vegas 96, Cannonier versus Borralho. Also, the Tough Season 32 finale. This is the live recap show on sherdog.com. I'm your host. My name is Shillan. Usually joining me, as always, is the senior editor of sherdog.com, the great Ben Duffy. But Ben is not here, so filling in for him. He's the host of the Check the Kick podcast. I like to call him Dev Goes Fishing, but he's also known as Devin Tejada. Dev, how you doing, my man?
Doing pretty good. This card started off pretty slow. Almost fell asleep on my couch a couple times. Then all of a sudden, main card popped off. I woke back up and powered through it. Pretty good card, and I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, speaking of falling asleep, I'm going to try to go through this card quicker than we normally do for a couple of reasons. One, it's 1:36 in the morning, and this is a fight night. Second, I'm up like almost 24 hours straight because I other duties and other jobs. So, but yeah, let's get into this. This card to me was the card that gives the people this is what happens when we complain about a card. If me and Ben do the preview show and we say anything negative about the card, people will go, "Oh, dude." Sometimes the cards that are better on paper will be the ultimate banger, or afterwards, if we say, "Oh, we're not that excited about a card," and then it becomes a banger, people are like, "See, you guys don't know anything. It was great." This is the one that gives those people material because card was kind of being freaking great. Like we had a lot of, and we'll get to the awards later. And good luck giving out the awards tonight. There was some freaking bangers, walk off knockouts, incredible fights. Let's start right at the top. Former title challenger Jared Cannonier took on rising kind of superstar Caio Borralho. I mess up his name so bad. It just doesn't roll off my tongue right. Caio Borralho.
You almost got it.
Yeah, I can't do it. Ben can do it better than me. Borralho won by unanimous decision. Dude, this fight was a freaking banger, man. How did you have it scored heading into the fifth?
This was a real close fight. I was thinking to myself, I said this aloud. My fiance's in the kitchen behind me doing God knows what. And I'm glued to the TV, and I'm like, this is a stressful ass fight. And then just as soon as I say that, the commentary is like, this is a pretty stressful fight. This fight was really stressful to watch just because it was so tit for tat. Outside of Jared getting hurt, everything was super, super close. Whoever was on the front foot was winning this fight. I scored the first round for Caio, second round for Cannonier, third round is where Cannonier got hurt. That round went to Caio. Fourth round was really, really close. That could have been Jared, could have been Caio. And then the fifth round, Jared just kind of seemed gassed in the fifth round and then got hurt. I think his chin is kind of gone at 40.
Yeah.
He's getting hurt with shots that, like, it's weird because normally when dudes get hurt, you watch him get hit with pitter-patter shots and then someone will really sit down on a punch. But Caio was just hurting him with the same punch he had been landing all night. That one would just randomly hurt him. It was weird.
Yeah, so I had a 2-2 heading into the fifth. I gave I had him flip-flopping. I gave the odd rounds to Borralho. I gave the even rounds to Cannonier. I could have had a 3-1. Like the fourth round could have been Borralho's. I definitely, even though I gave the fourth round to Cannonier, I was very confident that Borralho was going to win the fifth round. Just the way the fight was going, to me, there was a clear victory for him, and really the clear victory for the entire fight was who was in the center of the cage and versus who was on the perimeter. I call the warning track area between the cage and the black area. And as the fight went on, Cannonier had to pressure forward. He had to keep forcing Borralho back. I think Borralho understood that, and they always talk about the fight nerds, their preparation for the fight. I think he understood what needed to be done. He understood that was really the only area he'd lose. So what happened was, even when he got pressured back, he'd wait for Cannonier to throw a big shot. And this is what I think was the best thing that he did. He would move and he would turn, he would tilt and change the whole direction of where the fight was. Now suddenly Cannonier was up towards the fence and instantly he was taking that ground on Cannonier. And as the fight went on, he did it more and more and more. And even though I thought it probably in the fourth round was really a toss-up, but like the cut happening and everything, the cut happened when he was sitting dead in the center, thrown down in the pocket. And I think he made those adjustments. Plus, you made a good point, and that was actually I know that I wrote down. Yeah, someone could watch this fight and go, dude, what are you talking about? Cannonier went 25 minutes and he didn't get knocked out. Like, how could you say his chin is gone? I don't think it's all right. So
it's compromised.
All right, I'm gonna show you something. So right, you can't see, but like right here, there's a window right here. I actually fixed the window today. A window pane was loose. I have an old house, like 1960s. The house was built, and every once in a while, the mutton that goes around it, you have to fix. And the window pane came out. And that's how I feel like his chin is. His chin isn't completely broken, but the glazing around the window pane is loose and old.
Yeah.
That the window pane will fall out now. And that's kind of his chin, where it's not completely gone, but it's 2 fights in a row where he was looking really good. Imavov was the same thing. He was doing well, and then suddenly he's getting buckled. I think he was out cold, and I think he woke up when he hit the ground in the 5th round today.
Oh yeah, he was. What's weird is he got hit with harder shots in this fight that didn't hurt him as much as the knockout shots. Like not knockout, but the parts where he actually got dropped and staggered, which I just always find super interesting. Like I don't know if it's just a timing thing or like an accurate spot like that Caio was hitting him, but the shots he got hurt with were really clean shots, really clear. What was it in the 3rd round where he dropped them? Was at that straight 2 down, just right down the pike. The southpaw left hand, just boom, completely wrecked Jared. And he got hurt in the same place in the fight as well, within that warning track. Both times is where he got hurt trying to just skirt around the outside of the cage. And he's always been like this. Whenever I watch him fight now, I almost like he got hurt. Robert Whitaker hurt him real bad. Even Marvin Vettori in that really dominant win, he got buzzed and almost finished in the 1st round. Imavov, and then now Borralho. Like Cannonier is just getting hurt a shit ton.
I love this comment that just got thrown on the screen by Anthony Tardo. It says he reminds of when Wyman's early decline, where it was more about being wobbled. It's not like a Chuck Liddell where all of a sudden the chin is going overnight and he's getting knocked out every single time he gets punched. But yeah, I definitely think there is something to it. No, I want to be very clear. I think he still has a lot of skills, and he's still a tough test for. I still think he defeats like 95% of the division because. Yeah. For a 40-year-old guy, he's still pretty fast. He's still extremely explosive. He still hits hard. He's still, he's got a nice jab. I loved his slip. Like the best thing I thought he was doing was slipping to the right and counter with, or timing, when they had the middle ground, timing and basically beating Borralho to the punch. A lot of times when Borralho was going to come in, he tried to meet him with a right hand. I thought that was good. Now, Borralho, the best things I thought, I already talked about the pivoting. I thought was really good. And the other thing I really liked is just straight, just 1-2s down the middle and just being busier in between like small things like in the rounds. The one thing I thought he did bad, like the only thing about Borralho that I thought was like, why didn't you do that? And it's not that he was doing bad, but it was the calf kicks. They were so good early to the point where
he just got away from it.
He dropped him like 45 seconds in the fight with a calf kick, and I go, oh, man, it's going to be really bad. And then just where were the rest of the fight?
I thought the way that Jared Cannonier finished Anderson Silva is what I started thinking about right when those leg kicks started landing in the 1st round, and he just got away from it. It's middleweight, though. Like –
yeah, the only thing I could think of why he might have got away with it, because I was trying to think of it, and I'm saying he's really touching. I'm thinking maybe he's thinking that Cannonier's, big punches are his best shot. And if I throw a calf kick, maybe I'm off balance. Maybe I leave myself open for a counter, and maybe that's why he got away with it. I think the opposite. If I'm his coach, I'm saying you go to that. Yeah, it might put you in the danger zone a little bit, but every calf kick that lands is taking away Jared's power. So you're worried about the power, but you're also zapping his power. And you also have a speed advantage, so you can get him hopping on 1 foot. You got to have a bigger speed advantage.
Caio's he's still learning, and he's actually like clearly getting better. So he'll go, and like his team seems to be a team that, I mean, they're freaking awesome. They're the team of 2024 runaway.
Oh yeah,
like
it's
hands
so
down.
Yeah, it's funny how we have waves like that. Like I remember, going way back, probably. Well, I mean, like I remember going back to like late '90s and like Shoebox being the team, and
Sure,
and then 2000, I don't know, 2004, Greg Jackson's team popped up, and it was like they just kept winning and winning and winning, and I mean, go ahead, shit. If I want to go even earlier,
AKA
like
went through this cycle.
Yeah. 97, it was Militich Fighting Systems. Now, I don't think it's to that level because there's so many more teams now that nobody can have that prominent of a team like they had back in those days. But they are definitely. I mean, I remember like Fortis MMA like 2 or 3 years ago.
Sure,
like they went on a run. Daniel Gracie's team, Henzo Gracie Philly, Daniel Gracie's team. They went on a run like a year or two ago. Right now, it's the Fight Nerds. Like they are the hottest team there is right now.
Like in Brazil, first was Novo and Yao, and then Shootobox, Charles Oliveira's team, and then now these dudes just kind of came up out of nowhere. And like, are they the best camp in Brazil in 2024? Probably.
Yeah. And I know the big teams can't go on a winning streak like these smaller teams then because just the pure volume of guys you have, you're going to have more losses. And overall, like you take a team like American Top Team, they're not going to go on a streak. They're not going on a streak where they're like, 20-0, but they'll have more high level guys. So like it is not fair to compare.
Sure.
But yeah, that team is incredible, and Bahayo is the leader right now. He's the the guy who's advanced further than anybody else. He's the one headlining fights. When you look at this guy, he's good. How good is he? Like what's his ceiling?
What I like from him is clearly he's learning in every fight. Clearly he's a guy that he's well-rounded to where he's, I don't want to compare him to GSP because it's way too soon, but it's the tact where, okay, I know I can do this at this fight. This is how I have to win this fight. If I need to out-wrestle this dude, I'm going to out-wrestle him. He knew that he could go out there and have this striking match with Jared Cannonier. Number one, this was the bravest fight he could have. This is the bravest game plan. Like he could have gone out there and out-wrestled Jared Cannonier. We've seen his wrestling game. He's big. Cannonier has shown weakness with the grappling, especially up at 205. But Caio's effing huge. He's got to be one of the biggest. Like he's
huge. He made Jared Cannonier look small. Who's got muscle on top of muscle on top of muscle.
I think he's got it's middleweight, and yeah, he makes a little bit of mistakes, like the way he leaps in and closes the distance with his head straight up and down, using those knees to close the distance. Like Jared, that's how his eye got all messed up. Someone's gonna clip him for it, but it's middleweight. Like Dricus du Plessis is the champion. I think he can. I don't think Dricus was the best call out for him. I think he should have called out Israel Adesanya. And I don't see why. He's well-rounded enough to give Israel a really tough fight if that fight happens in 4 months, 5 months.
Yeah, when you watch, I mean, I don't want to go too far down that line, but when you just watch what Israel Adesanya is doing, he's obviously showing signs of decline physically. Yeah. I mean, he'd be more physical than Izzy. Yeah, I mean, middleweight's there for sure. If you look on paper, I mean, like, if he actually got the title shot, and he's probably second or third down the pecking order. I mean, they give it Strickland the matchup first, and then if Chimaev beats Whitaker, he's probably getting that shot. Market wise, and that is probably him. So he's probably third. Like he's got to be sitting there rooting for Rob Whitaker to win. But if the matchup happened, because sometimes it's right place, right time. I mean, Khalil Rountree.
Sure.
Right place, right time. He's more technical than Dricus du Plessis. If I was writing down a piece of paper next to each other, all right, what's the good things that Dricus does? What's the good things about Bahayo's list is twice as long as Dricus.
The only thing that concerns me, and I think Dricus is actually his hardest fight in the division, only because Jared had so much success on the front foot throwing blitzing combinations. And every time Jared Cannonier threw 3-punch combinations, they were effective, and Caio had to respect his power. And I think that's like Dricus's game, is just to blitz forward and do weird shit. But Caio has a sneaky ass check hook. Like,
well, that. Oh, sorry, my dog is barking.
No worries.
Be quiet. I'm home alone too. There's nobody else here, so the rest of the family's in Canada this week celebrating my my mother-in-law's 60th birthday. So happy birthday to my mother-in-law. Love you.
Happy birthday. My dogs are now barking too.
There you go. I just heard that too. If this was Dricus Duplessis, the same exact fight happened, and Caio, take out Jared Cannonier and put in Dricus in the same position, as soon as Borralho drops him like that, Dricus would have pounced back up and somehow submitted him, because that's what Dricus does.
I don't pick against Dricus Duplessis anymore. I'm gonna have to see something crazy. I picked him to beat Izzy. But no, he's a mother effer. So like, I don't know what's gonna stop him right now. But a guy like Caio Borralho with as many tools as he has, and his willingness to like bring a fight on, that's who's gonna have a really competitive fight with Dricus. He's good.
Yeah, I think he's really good. I think he's big. I think he's got multiple skills. And the thing is, we didn't see is what he was mostly known for, his ground game.
Yep.
And both guys, I actually thought that was a bad strategy from both guys. I think they should have both. I think the way they were swinging at times, I think both guys could have. There was times I was sitting there, and I'm looking at Cannonier, and I'm like, man, there's a snatch single right there for you. Just snatch that single off. In a close round, why not? But yeah, as far as middleweight's wide open. I mean,
totally.
I asked Ben last week, is this the last we see Adesanya, as a title contender? And he was more on the no. I was more on the I think so. But when you go, my point is when you go through some divisions and you go to the 7th, 8th guy down, you go, can they win the title? You go, no, it's not going to happen. Middleweight, you can go 7, 8 guys down and go, absolutely.
Especially if you remove Dricus and you just have the number 1 contender through number 7, that's a coin toss every single time.
Yeah, I think, I agree. But even with the champion,
with the champ,
when you look at his skill sets, and again, I know he has something that can't be measured. He can't something about you can't measure. He just has that. Like I was talking to a guy this week, and shout out to my people in my personal life, guys. After I do like a preview show for like talk, people see the 3-hour preview show. They don't see the extra hour of me and Ben that gets cut out, and they don't see all the film study and all the pre stuff, and then watching the 7-hour event and then talking about it for 2 hours. Like on Tuesday, you run into me, or on Monday or Tuesday, I don't want to talk about the fights. Like I'm done. Like I've already done, but I will. I try to be a decent human being and talk to people if they want to talk about the fights. But they're always like casual people, so it's even worse because like it's not that's not who I talk with. But I said to him, and he was like, yeah, like Duplessis, man, he's such a weird striker. He's not even good at striking. He's not good at wrestling. He's like, I'm like, yeah, you know what he's good at? He's like, what? I'm like,
fucking winning.
Yeah. He's good at winning fights. He's good at fighting. Like that's what he. Anyways, we're going down a different path. I want to, but
one thing.
The point remains. The point. The whole point is, yeah, he's right there. Like he could. If you told me that Borralho is a champion a year from now,
or at least fighting for the belt.
Yeah, and when we talk about ranking guys 7 or 8th, if Cannonier's in that ton, all right, that's the guy just simply based on his age. Like, no, I don't think he'll be the champion one day. But if someone told me Whitaker wins the title again, I go, okay. If someone tells me Borralho wins the title, okay. Someone tells me Imavov wins the title, I go, okay. I fill in 3 or 4 of the guys I'm forgetting about. Shabayev, Strickland, 1 or 2 other guys, Brandon Allen. Brandon Allen. If you told me Brandon Allen 2 years ago, I would have laughed at you.
Yep.
Now I'm like, yeah, maybe.
Same as Strickland.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Strickland and Dricus are the 2 best middleweights in the world right now. like it's just funny. But you know what I'm coming to realize about middleweight is if you're athletic and you have high fight IQ, like everything else can just it's like everything else can be patched together with duct tape. It's like Caio Borralho, super athletic, high fight IQ. Dricus du Plessis, super athletic. He clearly has a high fight IQ. And everything else is just, doesn't matter. Doesn't seem to matter as much. I'm curious as to what the UFC does with Caio next, because clearly he's getting favorable matchups. There's guys like RoboCop on the roster that are just getting tons and tons of outside the top 15, really tough fights. But Caio has got a lot of favorable matchups. I think they'll try to call Izzy.
I don't know.
I don't think Izzy takes it though.
No, I don't think Izzy has many fights left. I think we messed up last week when we were matchmaking. There was the obvious pick that we should have said, and the obvious pick for Izzy is if he's serious.
Bring him on,
dude. My dog is barking to your dog. My dog heard your dog bark, and my dog.
I got 3 of them.
Hey, go lay down. Seriously, my dog is reacting. Your dog barking. She jumped up and started barking. But the obvious matchup is if Yuri Prochazka is really serious about
dude.
Right, that's the match.
1000%.
And someone said that in the comments afterwards, and I was like, dude, yeah, I totally missed that one. Because what I do is I go down the fight fight. I start going down the middle-weight rankings, or I'm sorry, the our rankings, and try to find a matchup. So that's the obvious one. I'm like, I didn't go out of the weight class, but yeah. I don't know where I was going with that, but as far as Borralho as a contender, yeah, I mean the guy's right there, and the matchup I would do with him next is Robert Whittaker if he beats Chimaev.
Yeah.
And you know what? Where Whittaker stands, it still might be okay to fight him.
Even if he loses.
Yeah, even if he loses.
Yeah. Whittaker is Whittaker's so respected within the UFC, the fans and everything. Like Caio Borralho, Robert Whittaker could lose to Khamzat Chimaev, and Caio Borralho could still get a title shot over a win over Robert Whittaker.
Hey. Sorry, I'm still
you have to call.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The Caesar, the dog training guy.
Usually if my kids were here, I'd sometimes you see me like bounce off, and I would literally yell to my family like who's sleeping to like get the dog. Like, but usually if my kids are here, like the dog will be in like my oldest.
He's with you now.
Yeah, with me, she's like right next to me. She's licking my leg and completely distracting me right now. But so your official pick for Borralho's next match?
If I just had a magic wand and I could pick a fight and that person would have to take the fight, I would do Israel Adesanya 5-round co-main event on a pay-per-view. I think that would be the ultimate test for him.
1 foot on the door. Really good. I'm not gonna read.
That's really funny.
That's a good comment.
That's really funny.
Cannonier. So Cannonier's in that position where he's on a 2-fight losing streak, but the skill's still there to be a challenger. You already mentioned the guy's name, and I'm giving him 2 next. I'm going Gregor Rodriguez. To me, he deserves a big step up.
Yep.
You could give it as a. I might at this point stay away from Cannonier in main events, but yeah, you want to put it as like a pay-per-view opener or something like that.
It's perfect.
All right, let's move on. We still got 10 more fights to go. We'll go a little faster on these prelims. I had a really good night on my picks overall. I went 8-3, though I did miss the main event, and I picked an upset in the main event. Looking pretty good. Co-main event, I also picked an upset. Looking pretty good. Both came up short. The other one was Angela Hill taking on Tabitha Ricci. Tabitha Ricci winning the unanimous decision. I mean, dude, right off the bat, what a freaking great match. This fight was freaking fantastic. It was nonstop action for 15 minutes. It was crazy.
Jay was in the Sherdog Slack saying doing the play-by-play for this. He said it was absolutely insane. I don't envy him having to do play-by-play for this. I put into the Sherdog Slack, this fight is best. This is like the best case scenario outcome for a fight like this. Angela Hill is 1 fight closer to being at 500 again.
Yeah. So first of all, shout out to the play-by-play for Jay Petchy doing the play-by-play for Sherdog and everyone. Ben's done it before. A bunch of other guys have done it. I've never done it, and I never will do it. But one thing I will say about the play-by-play, dude, shout out to those guys. The play-by-play has been going on for like, no lie, like 25 years. Like I remember like cable was down but the internet was working, and being on like Sherdog for an event and reading the play-by-play and refreshing to find to see people's scorecards. And it was like, oh my God, it was like, I don't know. Who was it? I don't remember what fight it was, but I was refreshing. But it was like Tito Ortiz versus Evan Tanner or some shit card. Like I'm talking way back. So shout out to those guys. Yeah, I mean, there's MMA players in there trolling. I mean, it was an absolutely fantastic fight. Not much defense from either fighter, and so how did you? There was I saw this one on Twitter. It was pretty split on people's reaction. I think two of the official scores for Sherdog gave it to Hill. How did you score it?
It was a really, really close fight. Tabitha Ricci clearly won the first round, in my opinion, and then the other two were just a toss-up. And, pride scoring, I would be okay with Ricci winning a fight like that. These two women both are just notorious for fights like this. Like, this was just a mirror match of how many Angela Hill fights, and a mirror match of like the Tisha Torres and Tabitha Ricci fight. I liked what Tabitha Ricci did in the first round, how she just got on the front foot, but I didn't love her game plan of trying to go for, upper body clinches into takedowns, where like Angela Hill is actually good in the clinch. Like, that's like her best place. Ricci had a lot more success with the boxing than I think she even expected to. So she just doesn't know how to not crash the pocket. And Hill looked really good going to the body. Like, she started doing it in the second round. The punches to the body, teep kicks to the body, body kicks. I kind of feel bad for Hill because she's like 39 years old doing this at this stage of her life. And she's always just like hair away.
Yeah. So I had it 2-1 Ricci. Guys, like I said, I'm on short sleep and I didn't write a note. I remember giving Ricci the first, and I don't remember. I gave Hill, I don't remember if it was the second or the third round, but I gave her one of the rounds. I think it was a lot of the optics. She kept trying to counter strike, and when you're forcing your back foot counter striking, it just doesn't look good. And then when she was trying to press forward, it wasn't as clean as Ricci. When Ricci was coming in, she has a very she reminds me of like a female Frankie Edgar, where it's a lot of sidestep and it's a lot of speed, bouncing around and then kind of darting in. Where Hill, she was like lunging on a lot of her shots, so she was like trying to catch up. It just didn't look pretty, and that shouldn't be why. It should be what's most effective. But I think that's the kind of situation I was in scoring for her. It's funny. I agree with what you said about Richie. And I said this on the previous show about her not being able to shoot through the hips. She shoots and then like shoots into a body lock instead of shooting. They would say like the hamstrings. You grab like top of the hamstring. That's where you should be locking. But the some improvements that I've seen over Angela Hill, even though I thought her, she got struck tonight by someone who's known for the jiu-jitsu, but the Hill's takedown defense is much better. But even more is
her get up, right?
Not just her get up, but her attitude with the get up. Before she'd like lay on her back. Now she was like, as soon as the fight hit the ground, she was kicking her, pushing her, hopping up. It's like
she threw up an arm bar on Tabitha Ricci.
If you thought about that 10 years ago, like she might have fought for the title one day, if she started doing this 10 years ago. She's a better fighter now than she was a decade ago.
And what's crazy is
whatever she started the UFC.
No, I mean, it's probably 10 years. And what's crazy is she's not young. It was a tough night for the old dogs, in the co-main and the main. but they both fought.
You forgot about one old dog though, Jared Mershad.
Oh shit, yeah. He's a different. He's that junkyard dog that like accidentally got into some gunpowder. You know, Angela Hill though. Again, I just feel bad because she's getting better, and it's it's not easy to put new tools into your tool belt when you're 39 years old, and she's getting better, and she's still losing the split decision. So that's gotta be kind of tough.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I think it was the right decision. I looked at MMA decisions. It was I didn't write it down, but it was like 8-4 or something in favor of Angela Hill. So I'm assuming for Tabitha Ricci. Richie's, she's on a nice little run right now.
Dude, she's like bricked up. Did you see her in the weigh-ins? She looks like a little mini Latina Kayla Harrison. Like she's got some, like she's getting kind of buff.
Dev, when people were talking about how bricked up she looked, they weren't talking about her muscles.
Well, that there too. Hill dropped the pants to her knees. That was pretty funny at the weigh-in.
Yeah. Angela Hill's funny. I think it's time for her to get even bigger step up for competition. I'm giving Richie. I'm giving her the winner of Jessica Andrade. No, I'm gonna give it Jessica Andrade no matter what. I was gonna say the winner of, but I'm gonna give it Jessica Andrade. That's a big name for
again right now.
Natalia Silva.
Oh, but that's at 125.
Yeah, that's at 125. That's why I was like, I can't say that. So I'm just giving her Jessica Andrade, like
because Andrade is probably gonna lose, right?
No, but she bounces. Who knows what weight class she's going? Sure. And honestly, that at this point of her career, that's what Jessica Andrade should be doing.
Yeah,
like she shouldn't take whatever fight you can get. But yeah, I want you to fight the former champion. That's a step up from Angela Hill. So yeah, I wrote down and I realized on the fly, like, wait a minute, that's a 125-pound fight. So, but yeah, I think she's fighting Jessica Andrade next. What'd you have for her?
Marina Rodriguez?
I think she's booked too. But, okay,
I looked through the rankings. I was like, she's above her. She deserves a step up. I'm just like,
whatever. I'm like, different though. Oh my gosh, Marina Rodriguez is huge. No, I'm not saying it's a bad match. I'm just saying like how big, just height wise.
Ricci she's like a little wrecking ball though. I mean,
absolutely.
Like she should change her name to Bull Shark. She's just a little tiny pit bull in there getting it done.
Tiger Shark.
There you go. She is she's like the Tisha Torres 2.0.
Yeah. Well, she just fought Torres too, but yeah, she's like a tighter, cleaner version of Tisha Torres. Like Tisha Torres had she's more boxing centric than Tisha Torres. Tisha was more like kicking, but same thing. Like a lot of in and out movement, trying to dart in and out, using your speed, being undersized,
stick to itiveness, just like getting after it. She's fun to watch, and this fight was this is best case scenario. This could have been really, really bad, and it wasn't.
Yeah, not a bad showing at all. I mean, the fight was an incredible fight. So I think I don't have the awards yet, but I'm assuming that was your fight of the night. Before that, we had the Ultimate Fighter season 32. It was like yesterday. We were crowning Forrest Griffin and Diego Sanchez. Now, 32 seasons later,
32 is mind-boggling.
31. 30. I should
say. 30. Why do we have 31 tough seasons, Keith?
Oh, it's 32. No, it's 32. I'm saying 31. I'm saying 31 since Forrest Griffin. And that's not counting all those international ones either. The South America ones and the the Smashes season and a couple of those other ones.
What are we doing? I watched them. I would fast forward to the fights.
Okay. So I watched I'll get to it. I watched 2.5 episodes. And then I paused it and turned it off, and I just never went back to it. I intended to watch it. I really did.
I don't blame you.
No, I did. I really did. Just the life gets in the way. But Robert Valentine took on Ryan Loder in the what was this middleweight or light heavyweight? It's middleweight, right?
This was middleweight, yeah.
Yeah, middleweight. Okay, the middleweight matchup. With Ryan Loder winning by second round TKO. Another consensus underdog pick by me and Ben. We had a couple of them on this night. We had a good night with the consensus picks. Went 2 for 3. with Angel Hill, the only one missing. But what I like about Loader is this guy just recently like turned to MMA. He's a little older because of that, but he's just an old school NCAA folk, folk style wrestler.
Yeah.
Winning scrambles, and he's at that. He could still grow because now I definitely think his ceiling is capped because one, his wrestling is not as good as people thinks it is, and it's he's a little older. It's not like he's not 21, So
he has no boxing game either. Someone that's going to defend the takedowns and force him on the back foot is going to eat him alive.
Well, the one thing I will say though is he knows how to set up his takedowns with his striking because he throws hard. He sets it up like you should because he throws hard, which forces you to put your hands up. And then
Khamzat Chimaev does that even at a higher level.
Merab does that.
Yeah.
Merab throws hard. If he lands, cool, but the intention is more to get you to put your hand up and then he's going to come underneath. So, get to that crucifix not only was it a nice position, but it sucked the will out of his opponent.
He's the first person that I've seen get finished like with a pin, because the whole finishing sequence, Valentin's glove was kind of just stuck in front of him, and then Loader's elbows were just so tight and short that they were just hitting the glove. So he kind of just got finished in a crucifix pin.
Yeah, and where he was
just stuck. There was nothing. He tried so hard to get out. There was nothing he could do. He was just stuck.
Yeah, and also, it was the perfect position because they were right against the cage, so he couldn't bump him forward. And then he's, you get kind of in this weird bench press position, so he couldn't get his hips into it. The crucifix position is very rare because it's kind of easy to roll out, but when you're pressing against the cage like that, it was the position where that is the spot it will work.
You know what I just realized that's really weird? He was the only one from Team Shevchenko, and he won the Ultimate Fighter under Team Shevchenko with the crucifix, and that's like Shevchenko's thing on the ground.
Oh,
yeah. I think Valentin had too much success in the first round with the grappling, and I think that gave him way too much overconfidence, and I also think he broke his arm getting out of that first weird armbar submission.
He might have. But there might be some truth to that. Shout out to Ryan Loader, Northern Iowa. I have a soft spot in my heart for Northern Iowa wrestling. I'll tell you a very quick brief story. When I was wrestling 900 years ago, Northern Iowa was one of the Division I schools that did recruit me. So I have some love for Northern. I didn't end up going there, but two guys that I've briefly coached. One I coached for a while. One I briefly coached went on to Northern Iowa wrestling. So, and one of those guys who went on to Northern Iowa actually helps coach my son a little bit now. So, kind of full circle. So go Northern Iowa.
And you know what else is really interesting? Loader recruited Bisping's son.
There you go. I heard Bisping's son's a nasty wrestler.
He actually quit. He retired from wrestling. His son.
Too bad.
I know. It is funny though.
Just to get a D1 look and get recruited, and that's a Big Ten school too. On top of it, it's not like I said, it's not Iowa and Penn State, but it's Oh, I didn't tell you. But shout out to I'm going to Penn State a couple weeks from now.
Nice.
We're the wrestling team.
Hell yeah.
So home of Bo Nickel. So
we're gonna see Bo there.
Maybe.
You have 20 different garments of clothing for him to sign,
If I told people who I was texting today, they wouldn't believe me. I'll tell you off the air. They will. Okay. No, people won't believe it, but I'm not gonna say it. But the other Ultimate Fighters, it wasn't Bo Nickel, by the way, but the other Ultimate Fighter show. I'm really gonna butcher these guys. Khan Affley took.
You got that one right.
Marianne Santos with Santos winning by second round TKO. So, I only watched 2.5 episodes of the show this season, but one of the ones I got to see was Affley's. I thought Affley looked really good on the show.
Me too.
But Santos, that was like an eye opening. Like he looked like a freaking sniper.
He's a
He looks
motherfucker.
legit, and he's only 24, which I love that. I mean, he was accurate. He obviously had the power of the walk off, fast, his technique. He was pulling him right into his shots, using his aggression, timing his aggression coming. I mean, he looked sharp tonight, man. I mean, obviously, it was an incredible performance, winning by second round TKO. Talk to me about it.
I love what he did. So Con Offley's a grappler. That's his thing. And he picked him apart on the outside, hitting him with like teeps to the body, long shots, ones and twos down the pike, kind of tuned him up from the outside, defended his grappling, defended all of the wrestling exchanges. And then he just made Con Offley really, really desperate. So Con Offley went out there in the second round and tried to brawl in the pocket and got effing murdered for it. Marian Santos missed the right hook, and I loved his vision in the pocket. You can see his eyes just right on Offley and his right hand on his chin, and then that left hook. I mean, he's a young kid to have that power at 24, 25 years old at featherweight. His ability to defend the takedowns was really, really impressive. His ability to strike at range, and then as soon as it got into the pocket, like he showed no weaknesses in this fight. He could strike from all levels.
Yeah. He looks absolutely crazy, impressive. The one reason why he got the knockout is the way Offley fought. Like Offley could have, when he was getting his leg kicked out, he could have stayed on the outside, got beat up, got teep kicked. What I would give him credit is he knew he was outmatched, but he still was willing to go on his shield. Like he was like, screw it, I'm gonna try to win. I'm gonna try to press the action. I'm gonna try to throw some big shots, maybe land something big.
Yep, got desperate.
So yeah, so it led to him getting knocked out. But like, if that's my guy, I'd rather have him lose that way.
He was on the way to losing this fight anyway. And he would have gotten touched up for 2.5 rounds and then maybe got buzzed with something in the third. You know, Mariam was landing nice head kicks that were getting blocked as well. He was just outmatched. Like from what we saw tonight, that's one of those fights where a guy wins 9 out of 10 times and the one is a banana peel.
Yeah. Speaking of outmatched, Neil Magny became the toughest test for Michael Morales in his career, or at least it was supposed to be. And your boy absolute straight aced it, winning by first round TKO. My question is, and I want you to pick a side. Don't freaking politician it and try to go down the middle. I want you to pick a side. Is Michael Morales the real deal, or is Neil Magny shot?
Neil Magny shot. And I know I'm going to be like on an island with that statement.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what the real answer is. The real
it's
answer,
both.
The real answer I wasn't going to let you say. The real answer is I wasn't going to say. The real answer is somewhere in between. Somewhere in between.
Well,
I don't think Neil Magny's completely shot, but I definitely
made me say something mean for no reason.
Yeah, I don't think he's on like he's on the Black Diamond ski slope. Way down, but he ain't on the bunny slope either. Like he's on that he's on that mid one where it's going pretty, like you got to be a pretty good skier to ride this one. You might not have to do jumps and shit like the Black Diamond, but you're pretty good. That's what Neil Magny's on. And I don't think I've never been, I don't ski, so I'm just bear with me. It's not the best analogy, but I don't think Michael Morales is on the Excella ski lift, but he's on like, he ain't walking up the mountain either. Like he's on like, at least he's on a ski lift. Like he's getting brought up. Like dude looked good.
He looked good, and he did what he was supposed to do, based on the odds, based on the numbers, based on the style matchup. Like,
but did you expect him to be this one-sided? Did you expect him to go out and put Magny out in, I don't know, 3 minutes? Magny had no offense. Magny had no offense. He at one point he got a takedown very briefly, had back like that standing like back, when you're wrestling.
The Neil Magny.
Yeah, kind of holding up, but didn't do any damage. And then he gets spinning back elbows and then pounded him out from on top. The last guy who did this to Magny like this was Shafkat.
Only
I'm
problem
not
with
saying
that
he's
is
Shavkat. I'm not saying he's Shavkat. So be clear.
sure.
But I'm also not saying he's not.
My rebuttal to that would be only problem with that is how many more times has that happened to Neil Magny since then? You know, like it's happened to him. Even like the Michael Malott fight where like he kind of got shit kicked real bad and then Malott just gassed and died. Like he still took a beating. Neil Magny's just been taking so many beatings. He just doesn't have any threatening tools at this level. He's not a punishing fighter anywhere really anymore unless you just absolutely gas in front of him like Malott. I did like Michael Morales' ability to take the back, finish with that really violent ground and pound, like Killer Instinct. He fought like a 17-0 fighter in his mid-20s. He needs just another step up a little bit.
Yeah, well, this is what I'll say. So in Neil Magny's last 6 fights, there's 2 categories. And let me read you the name of the categories. Group number 1 is Shavkat Rakhmonov, Gilbert Burns, Ian Machado Gary. Group number 2 is Danny Rodriguez, Phil Rowe, and Mike Malott. Both groups are good. One group's great.
One is title challenger, and one is.
And what do they have in common? The Shavkat, Gilbert Burns, and Ian Machado Gary all beat Neil Magny.
They beat the shit out of him.
Right? Danny Rodriguez, Phil Rowe, and Mike Lott all lost to Neil Magny. So that said, Michael Morales is in that first group now.
You're not wrong. He's good.
And here's the other thing I want to remind why I think it's not 50-50 where it's this guy's the real deal and Magny shot. I think it's more 60-40, 70-30 that he's the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's 25 years old. He's 25, Dev.
Back to back.
I get
Myron Santos.
I get clothes older than 25 years old.
You need some new shirts, man. Being 25 with his abilities, like we thought, what is it, Gabriel Bonfim? Like this is what we thought Gabriel Bonfim was going to be. And maybe Michael Morales needs to fight a Nicholas Dalby or something to, to prove that. But he's good. He's violent, finishing instinct. I like the ground and pound. This guy's he's 25.
So I'm in report is saying Thompson Buckley winner. I'm kind of going the same route, not that matchup, but not necessarily that matchup, but and more the route of Thompson than Buckley, more of a veteran kind of similar to what we just had with Neil Magny. I'm giving Vicente Luque.
Yeah, that Nick Diaz fight is never going to happen. So I think he should. I think he should fight the winner of RDA and Jeff Neal.
Especially if RDA wins, which that's a big
even if Jeff Neal like
Magny, I'm still using it. He's still a name, and he's a name, but he's still a test. But I'm giving him Carlos Pratis.
Shit, you're evil.
But you have to. What are you gonna do?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
You're not gonna waste him on a guy who's not a contender, like not a guy who you believe can move up. What's the point? Like if Neil Magny fights, I don't know, give me like a mid-level welterweight that's
Santiago Ponzinibbio. There's no point for him to fight someone like that.
Oh no, not even like a veteran. I'm talking about like a younger guy, but you kind of know what they are. Like they're not some of the that you view as a title challenger or like a high level. I mean, I was saying a decent. I don't know. I'm looking through some names right now.
Like he's kind of already fought a lot of those guys. Like there's it's like Phil Rowe, but
I know. All right, I'll give you one. I'm going to get heat for this, especially from this guy's team. But Euros Medish.
Didn't he just pull out of a fight? Wasn't he supposed to fight recently? So,
but I'm saying Euros Medish is my point. Is like he's good, but like no one's thinking this guy's and he's on a nice run. I mean, he's 31, so he's not like super young either, but he's not old. He's definitely in like this is his prime. My point is, Yours Medic is not a guy that like many people are saying, "Oh man, this guy's gonna be headlining cards one day." Now, could he? Maybe, but like it's like there's no like Euros Medic club claiming that he's like this is the next guy.
No.
But why have Magny fight a guy like that and lose to someone like that, and then everyone knows Magny's done? I shouldn't say Magny's done because Medic is talented. That's probably not the best example, but my point is, I want to try to use his name as long as I possibly can.
Sure.
You know, then if Neil Magny lost to a Jeremiah Wells, and I know that guy's old, but you get my point.
Exactly. There's process is the fight that makes sense. Like, just smoke a dart on the way to the cage. You know, go out there and flatten Neil Magny, cash $50,000. That's what you got to do with them.
So you know I live in the moment, so I'm gonna let you. RC Kim, so that's elderly abuse. Yeah, I hate the old people. I'm always trying to get them killed.
This was an elder abuse card. Besides GM3.
Yeah, RC Kim always cracks me up. Me and Sean Sheehan, Sherdog's own, was talking about this today. You know me, I live in the moment. Like I'm always the answer is always yes, and then like the next card will switch the division, and I'll say yes too. But I'm gonna put you on the spot. Is welterweight the best division in MMA?
Welterweight?
Not necessarily in the sense of like, oh, you're the biggest stars, but just mean like the depth of the division and like.
I still think it's bantamweight, just because there's dudes like Jose Aldo that are like in the top 15, like out there fighting number 14 and 13, but welterweight is, it's one of the better divisions. There's lightweight too.
I'm just looking at the guys. Bilal Muhammad, Rocky.
He's really good.
Shafkat, Jack Della Maddalena, Ian Gary, Sean Brady, Michael Morales, the young guys.
Burns,
then you have the veteran. Then you have the veterans like Usman and Burns and Thompson and Buckley's a guy. And man, say what you want about Colby, and I don't think Colby's that good anymore, but he's still like entertaining, and he's not entertaining, I shouldn't say, but he can sell a fight, and my casual friends are interested when he fights, and same with Michael Page. You get those like next tier down veterans like Neil Magny, like Vicente Luque, like
it's stacked
RDA. You got like those like the guys who are rising, but they're like a little older that no one thinks they're going to be a title challenger, but they're still really tough out, like a Randy
Nicholas
Brown,
Dalby.
a Nicholas Dalby. I don't know, man.
I
don't know, man.
It's deep. It's deep.
Like, and there's even like names. There's even names of like guys that they're mid-tier guys. They're mid-card guys, but one time they were names like a Ponzinibbio, like Alessio Selesky, Dos Santos.
Kevin Holland is
Kevin Holland is a name. Another guy we're not talking about that's rising up, like a Brian Battle. The Bonfim is. Yeah, I'm living in the moment. I haven't scrolled over the bantamweight, so I'll say yes. I'll say yes until I scroll with bantamweight, and I'm saying the same shit. I'm like, oh man, look how. And then someone says, oh, Joe, check out lightweight, and I just say the same thing. But so my combo was said somewhere between 135 and 170, but yeah, it's what a freaking I love welterweight. Let's move on. Opening the main card. So I said I had a pretty good night. I think Ben had a really good night too. I'm not sure how you did in your picks, but one thing we don't do on our show is we don't brag if we had a good night. I care about how we make the picks, and this was the perfect pick by Ben and I, the Edmund Shabazian versus Jared Mershaw, because we called it exactly how this fight was going to go. That Jared Mershaw was going to get his ass kicked until Shabazian slow down a little bit and get submitted. And this is exactly how it happened.
Like every smart bettor just had GM3 round 2 finish in this fight.
Yeah,
and
all round three. All round three. Yeah.
The second he survived the Shabazian onslaught, I was like, oh, This is if you are a front runner and you don't finish Gerald Meerschaert, like
Mhm.
Edmund Shabazian is literally the perfect example of who GM3 beats.
Yeah.
Like when you really look at it, really look at it, like a dude that is absolutely lights out for 5 minutes, killer instinct destroyer, faces a sliver of adversity and he folds. And that head and arm choke was awesome. GM3 is awesome. He's tied for the most finishes in middleweight with
Yeah.
Anderson Silva.
He passed Anderson
Or he
Silva.
surpassed
He
Anderson
already
Silva.
was tied. Yeah, he's a new record holder, which is always a good night. The best thing that happened to Jared Meerschaert tonight was him getting hurt and dropped. The best thing that happened to him.
If that sequence didn't happen, Shabazian would have just outpointed him for 3 rounds. But no,
Yeah, that's my point.
He got hurt. Like it was just
the best thing Shabazian could have done was when he dropped Meerschaert, he should have just told him get back up. He should have stepped back, let him recover, so get back up, and kept fighting at a slower pace. As soon as he went in for the kill, I said it's over. I don't know who the referee was. I think it might have been Dan Margoliga, but I'm not. Oh no, it might have been Mark Smith. One of I don't know. I don't know who the referee was, but it wasn't Chris Tierney. I know that. And I was watching. He's like, like fight back. He's doing that. Like fight back, Gerald. And I kept saying
he would regain guard. He would regain guard.
I guess I'm like, he's got to last these 10 seconds. He's got to last these 10 seconds. Like he's hurt right now. And again, he's going for the kills. He's got to just like give him a second, dude. It's your Meerschaert. Like give him a chance. That's all I'm saying. Was like give him a chance. But if he can get it, he's gonna win. And as soon as he it was like that 10, 15 second was over, I said, dude, he's about to win. And then when he got back, he found a way to get back to his feet. As soon as he shot in on the single, and he had at our team we call it the Amato, where you kind of come around the corner and he's leaning his head. As soon as he got to that position, I said the fight's over. I said he's gonna take him down and submit him. The takedown wasn't even finished yet, and I knew the fight was over. I wish I was like one of these like super skilled bettors. I could like bet
just right holding on to the live line. He's like getting his ass whipped.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying when he shot in, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. He shot in, got to the hips, and he got to the corner of his head, and he actually. What they always say, and I preach this all the time to kids: look behind their back when you're running your double. When he got in that position right there, I said, "Fight's over." I'm like, he's about to take him down. It was over right then. He didn't even finish the takedown yet. I wish I was that like generic gambler. But I'm doing that bet,
just watching that live line. Also too, where Shabazian effed this all up was he hurt him to the body. And then he jumps on top of him and he's trying to finish him with concussive blows to the head. Like when you hurt someone to the body, you let them back up and then you just teep the shit out of their body over and over and over again. But he hurt him to the body. Meerschaert, it wasn't like a big check hook that had him reeling back and he was concussed, where a bunch of those elbows would have probably got the finish. It was a knee to the body that hurt him. So you hurt a guy to the body, and then you jump on top of him and you try to, finish him with concussive blows. Like Brandon Moreno did that to Kai Kara France, but that's Brandon Moreno. Like, I don't know. It's Edmund Shabazian. Exactly. Like it's you hurt him to the body and then you jump on him and you hit him with a bunch of short elbows and he's covered up. Like, yeah, he's going to right. And the whole thing happened. I'm like, Meerschaert's going to survive this because that was a body shot. He just has to wait for his body to wake back up, and he'll be fine.
Yeah, you don't do that to it. I mean, you can't make a mistake and get to future Hall of Famer and Gerald Meerschaert. And obviously, when I say future Hall of Famer, I'm not talking about the UFC Hall of Fame. I'm talking about Ben Duffy's Sherdog's Hall of fucking awesome.
Gerald fucking Meerschaert, man.
Meerschaert is Gerald fucking Meerschaert. It's going to be in that group. So that was the main card. The top prelim card was a fight that me and Ben did not predict, though I did end up taking Francis Marshall. Francis Marshall taking the fight on days' notice against Dennis Bazooka in this like weird. They kept trying to sell this New Jersey versus New York thing, like battle that no one else was like falling for. But how did you? Okay, so one of the judges scored the fight 29-28 Bazooka. That's terrible scorecard.
He won the third round.
Yeah, but he didn't win the second. Like I like Adam
No.
Martin. I like Adam Martin a lot. He's a really good dude and everything. But he tweeted out, he's like, well, Bazooka came on in the second round, which is true. And he's like, man, if he didn't get dropped in that second round, he probably wins the fight. I'm like, yeah, that's a big if.
The drop is what
if
drop is what won Francis Marshall.
Yeah, it wasn't like a brief knockdown where guy pops. No,
got fucking leveled.
He almost flatlined the dude. He was. I think he was out. And I think he hit the ground and woke back up.
When you're scoring MMA in 2025, impact damage is the #1 scoring criteria, and Francis Marshall's one punch that dropped Bazookia would take a lot. Like, yeah, Bazookia could get that same back with one punch, but all the work Bazookia did in the last half of that round still didn't make up for him getting buzzed with that one shot. Francis Marshall fought a really smart game plan, taking this fight on short notice. He went out there and bagged the first round with his grappling. He's like, I'm gonna just go win the first. I'm gonna go win the first 2/3 of this fight, and whatever happens, happens. And it was a smart approach.
Yeah, it was honestly, it's pretty impressive to be able to hold a guy down with just just your wrestling back pressure, trying to force him onto his hands. That was pretty impressive. So Marshall, he slowed down a little bit at the end. I mean, really halfway through the second, he was really slowing down. I'm gonna give him a pass on that. He is what he is. Like I view him as like an exciting fighter, but like highest thing he is gonna be like a mid-card fight night guy. That's what he is. That
he'll get like a Nate Landwehr fight. That'll be his biggest moment,
Yeah, that said, I'm gonna give him a pass on the cardio, being that he took the fight on day's notice. So and then he waited for the kill. But he wrestled heavy in the first round and then went for the kill in the beginning of the second round. I give him a little pass on that. What I'm more worried about is his lack of head movement.
Oh,
that's the thing that's always going to be the downside to Francis Marshall. Speaking of lack of skills, Zach Reese took on Jose Medina, with Zach Reese winning a unanimous decision in one of the most one-sided shellackings in a really long time. I
forgot this fight happened until right now.
I think Jose Medina forgot that he's supposed to punch his back.
Can I ask you a serious question about Jose Medina? Is he the worst men's fighter on the roster? He's got to be. Like, he reminds me of those like dudes that Nick Diaz conned Dana into signing back when he fought. Like,
what's the one guy? What's the guy that kept boxing on their undercards and shit?
Oh my God, Chris Avila. Like,
Chris Avila.
Chris Avila.
No, there's somebody else worse than.
Okay, outside of heavyweight, I don't know.
I'm sure. My point, I don't know. I'm sure there's other guys people could. We're at 2:30 in the morning. I can't think of the worst guys in the UFC.
He's bad,
but like, he's in the club. Like, he's in the club.
It's not a club you want to be part of.
But he's in it. This guy's.
There's a dude on my street that would kick his ass.
The commentary team was celebrating him getting his ass kicked, and was like,
they always do. It's the weirdest thing.
And it was like, dude, this guy's so tough. And it's like, dude, the guy can take a beating. And Reese kind of gassed himself out a little bit, slightly, like not to the exaggeration I saw people on Twitter were doing, because he was doing a lot of high draining energy. Like, he'd pick him up and slam him and stuff. But Reese gassed out slightly because he was trying to get the finish. But I will say this: I like what Reese showed. Like, I think his style, his pure aggression, is going to be a big issue for many people. I feel like Medina's that guy that can make it to the distance. Like, there's guys that Reese will finish quick that is a much bigger threat to Reese than Medina is, who made it all the way 15 minutes, because he made it all of 15 minutes with, I don't remember any offense the entire fight.
He landed like a couple shots that actually seemed to bother Zach Reese, but he just got kicked to the body so many times. Like, that dude's going to be pissing blood for like a week. he just people like him shouldn't be in the UFC because it's actually too dangerous for them. Like he's it's just not.
They're talking
be
about yeah. Enrad, I apologize if I'm saying your name wrong. Is talking about the guy in the contender series that Finney who didn't get the contract that Dana White was going off on.
Yeah,
Finney would have to murder this dude. And then he's like, "Oh, you can't make it in the UFC. You'll get killed in the UFC."
What I think about this sometimes, and I'm like, okay, Jose Medina, imagine if you were as bad at your job as he is as a pro fighter, because this is his job.
Man,
if I was as
I know some people as bad as, I mean, look at Ben. Look at Ben. I mean, it's his full-time job working with Sherdog. I mean, so is that what Ben is? Ben is like the Jose Medina?
No, absolutely not.
Ben is the Jose Medina.
He's the Volk.
I'm gonna say that. Okay, all right.
He's the Volk. I'll give him the Volk. No, but this Sherdog is not my full-time job, and if I was as bad as at my job as Jose Medina, I would have been fired and cost the company I work for lots and lots of money. He shouldn't. He needs to go back home to Bolivia and rethink his the rest of his professional life.
He's from Bolivia. Could you find Bolivia on a map if you?
It's in South America.
You'd be doing better than me. How quick do you think it'd take you to find it?
10 seconds.
Fuck you.
I'm a map person. I'm a avid outdoorsman, fisherman. I spend a lot of my life on Google Earth. My job also requires me to do like skip tracing and stuff on people. So similar stuff to that you do. So I spend a lot of time on Google Earth.
There you go. Before that, we start getting into a bunch of split decisions coming up. Well, actually, back-to-back split decisions. Vladislav Borshov took on James Lontop, winning.
James.
Huh?
James.
Yeah.
James James. I never knew his name was James because I just heard his name, and then actually looking at the lineup, because they always called him James Lontop. I'm like, oh, he's freaking James.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
It's just a Spanish pronunciation.
Oh, there you go. Borshov won by split decision. Really fun scrap. I don't think it was as close as the commentators made it sound, and I'm very surprised by the split decision.
I thought it was pretty close. Slava Claus is a dude that's really tough. Like, he's got really good recoverability, but he's just a guy that always seems to be bothered when he gets hit. Like, he just has like a look on his face, like
he's Jose Medina with more skills. Like he could take a beating. That's why Borshov didn't finish him. But to me, I mean, I don't think it's a one side. I think he had moments. He had a nice jab. He had a couple good calf kicks. But to me, like, Borshov clearly won. One thing it's so funny because before the fight, I would have thought that Borshov would have such an advantage on the outside and to stay out of the mid range or the pocket against Lontop. But when he actually got in the pocket and threw down, that's actually when he had his most success. And I was like, man, I would have, if he stayed in the pocket, I think he would have knocked him out. He was landing big shots when he was pressuring.
Yeah. In those prolonged exchanges, he had Lontop kind of reeling back from some of those big shots. Lontop is really, really tough. It just sucks because I think he's in the UFC like way too early.
Yeah,
just in general,
I mean, to me, he's just a low level UFC talent at best. I mean, to me, I've said this a million times, and Ben has said it, and I know you've echoed similar things. The low level guys in the UFC, they may be good enough to be in the UFC, but that said, there's 2,000 guys who are also still in that range who haven't been invited to the UFC. If that makes sense.
Revolving door, switch them in.
Like, I know you're not a big stick and ball spots, but the NFL season's coming up, right? At least you at least know that's happening.
Sure.
Training camp, they start with, I think it's like 75 guys. They got to cut it down to 53, and there's guys who get cut. There'll be a guy who gets cut on one team that is equal to the worst guy in another team.
Yep.
Like if he was invited to this team's camp, he might make it. But he was invited, if he got invited for the Titans, he makes it. But he got picked up by the Falcons, and they don't need this position. They're strong. They're strong at this position, and that's why some guys get cut, and then another team picks them up. So that's kind of, I feel like, this low level guys. Real quick, Chris Taioni, he is a terrible referee. I know everyone agrees on that.
So many blunders tonight.
But I mean, sometimes every night. But the warning. Oh, yeah, he's got to be warned. Like they thought I already gave you a warning, but here's a strict warning. Like, but that's just screaming stop from a far distance, and then just getting punched in the back of the head. And good on Lontop. Like, no one's jumping. Go.
The ref physically stops the fight.
Yeah, you're supposed to protect yourself at all times, and that. But come on, dude. Like Taioni, he was standing on the outside, like watching. Like, what do you like? If my kid is about to walk onto the highway,
and you're just like,
as a toddler, I don't just go, "Hey, stop!" I run and go grab him.
He's like smoking a cigarette with freaking protests, just hanging out on the side of the cage. Like, dude, he better not ever ref a Dominic Cruz fight, because he's just incompetent. Like, he's had so many weird blunders, and just screaming stop is like, you watch Muay Thai. I'm sure you've caught some Muay Thai clips where like you see the refs in Muay Thai, like a dude will get head kicked and they're like diving to save the dude from bouncing his head off the ground. And like Chris Taioni is just like effing off, he's watching the fight on the big screen outside the like.
Like he's watching. He's watching. Dude, Dan Hardy made a big effort to stop a fight once from the commentary booth than Chris Taioni did.
He got fired for it too. Like,
speaking of stopping, dude, hallelujah, however you say your name. Stop, dude. That was a low. That was a low blow right there. Bashing my Patriots. That was a low blow. Before that, my girl, Josie Nunez, I love her. I just love her. I don't know, but she took on Jacqueline.
She should have won this fight.
Cavalcanti won by split. You thought she won?
No, but like, she should just win this. She should just win this fight because she's 5'2" at like bantamweight.
Yeah,
and she's trying.
Yeah. So Cavalcanti won. She's at bantamweight now. Didn't she used to be at featherweight?
Yeah, dude, at 5'2". Like,
Cavalcanti won by split decision. I didn't agree with split decision. I thought Cavalcanti clearly won. If it was a 29-28 scorecard for Nunez, I say, okay, maybe you gave the first and third for her, but I still think I think I actually gave Nunez the third. But my issue is the split decision was 30-27 for Nunez. The second round was clear as day for Cavalcanti. There's no way you could give the second round to Nunez. And one of the judges did.
Didn't one of the judges score the fight for Lontop 30-27 too?
He may have. He may have. I'm not sure.
We just have all these weird like blunder scorecards. That Tuivasa scorecard, like, I don't know. But it's also sorry.
Got it. I'll say this about Nunez. What I like, pressure. She knows she has to win. She has to force her opponent back foot. The problem is she only has a looping left hand. She has no other skills. And I'll give Cavalcanti credit. What impressed me most about her today, it wasn't this like eye-open performance, but the little things she did. For example, her cardio was on point. And what I mean by that, this wasn't like this wasn't the Angela Hill Tabitha Ricci contest with output. But the fact that she was forced to back up, retreat, be on her back foot, circling away, people have no idea how much draining that is. And she didn't slow down. I kept saying to myself, she's not going to be able to do this the whole time. And I said, she needs to bank two. I'm like, she has to bank two because the third round, that pressure is going to catch up to her. And she never tired. I was really impressed by that.
If Nunez could just learn how to cut the corner and throw a leaping hook, she would have had Cavalcante running into that leaping hook with her lead hand like over and over again, but Nunes couldn't really cut the cage off. Like you said, she only has a looping left hand. So Cavalcante was just circling out to Josiane Nunes' right, and Nunes had no ability to make her pay for it. There was a couple exchanges. Cavalcante stayed composed. And like you said, she landed like one really nice uppercut on the back foot. That was kind of impressive.
When she came in. Yep.
It is hard to run backwards. Like, 40 yards backward is equivalent to 100 yards forward.
Oh, I think it's probably worse.
Oh
yeah, I think it's worse. Like go to a local track, or local football field, and stand at the 40-yard line and backpedal to the end zone as fast as you can, and then just when you hit the end zone, run full sprint to the other end zone, and you'll say the backpedal is even harder.
Yeah.
But one thing I think Cavalcante could have done more. I wish she threw more body kicks and teep kicks, because anytime she did, she landed hard. She just didn't throw them enough.
And it would stop the forward pressure.
Yeah, I agree. So that's one thing I think she made a mistake. I still like her moving forward. I think she's, I don't think she's a title challenger. Well, in that division, I mean, she could be, but someone that everyone does think is a title challenger right away. Wayne Kong, Wayne, how do I say it? What? I know I'm messing up. I'm sorry.
I don't want to say it because
Wong Kang, Wong Kong,
the Joker.
Yeah, no, it's Wong Kong because one of the listeners had one of the comments of the century with everybody Wong Kong tonight, which was showing my age. A lot of people won't get that reference if you're young, but fantastic comment. Do you get that reference, Dev? Are you too young?
No.
There was a everybody have fun tonight. He said, everybody Wang Kong tonight. It just I don't know. I'm not doing it justice. It was a great joke. Dude, my worst call was Victoria Leonardo an upset. I mean, Wing Kong looked fantastic. Nice power, good speed, accuracy. I mean, she blasted this guy. You don't see walk-off knockouts, at 125 often. That was a great way to start was it 20 seconds in, 30 seconds in?
I was like, Leonardo's looking okay here. And I'm like, oh no, Wang Kong is just making her reads and just hit her with the 1-2. And that 1-2, like, it's Khan Offley, the way he got knocked out by Marion Santos, like later in the card, was a very similar, like you could just tell that shot was like pure blunt force trauma. And immediately they were out before they hit the ground. Like, Leonardo needs to fire her manager. Like, go look at her UFC fights. She's fought Manon Fiorot, Natalia Silva, and now Wang Kong.
Yeah, and just for the record, the reason why that makes that reference even funny, not only does it go with the song, but the band who sang it name was Wang Chung. So
I know the song. I didn't put two and two together.
I think that's what I called her style of fighting too, was Wing Chung. so the guy who made the comment, it was fantastic comment. He said, "Did you threw me a layup?" And I'm like, "Yeah, how did I not see that?"
Aaron Blanchfield. She fought Aaron Blanchfield in Invicta. Like, this girl, I don't like. Who broke her arm? Was it Manon Fiorot or Natalia Silva? Like, she had her arm broken.
Yeah, and she got high kicked by Aaron Blanchfield. Like, right? Was it Aaron Blanchfield high kicked her in Invicta? Or am I mixing? I might be mixing them. I'm sorry. Like, I remember someone. I swear it was her. I think it was her. Yeah, she got high kicked by Aaron Blanchfield. I could be wrong. I apologize. I remember Aaron
or Silva.
I remember Aaron Blanchfield high kicking somebody. I'm thinking it was her.
She's taking so many.
But back to Wang Kong. She's exactly what the division needs. She like new blood in the division. Like, there's one thing about flyweight. Like, we haven't had too many like new blood recently. I mean, you have Blanchfield and Manon Fiorot and stuff. But I mean, this person that coming up, and I know she's not young, but
it doesn't even matter at this stage of the status of this division right now. Like Rose Namajunas had a whole entire career and moved up a division. Not even wanting to be an MMA fighter is like a title challenger at 125.
And what I love about her, I love this girl's attitude. Like, it's her first fight in the UFC. She wins. She starts to go right away, and she's like, "I'm not happy." And they're like, "I don't want to be on the friggin' first fight of the night prelims." I'm like, "Good for you, lady." She's like, "I need to be the main card." I'm like,
yeah, she painted her face. Like she took this really seriously, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, she's what we need.
Yeah.
So everybody Wayne Kong tonight. All right, let's get to the fun stuff. Let's get to so we covered all the fights. What category you want to do first? I'll let you pick. Hey, the Bulls, the Bears,
cutlass, man. Let's do the cutlass. Let's cut the fat off this roast.
All right, I'm gonna surprise you. So the way the cutlass works, if both me and Dev have the same person on our cutlass, we give the UFC permission to get rid of them. I'm in a good mood. I only have one person. How many do you have?
I've got 2.
All right, so let's see which person I'm saving. Good. Go with your most obvious one because I think we have the same person.
Medina.
Yes.
He should not be in. It's the thing is, like, when we talk like there has never been a death in the UFC, blah blah blah. Like when you got dudes like this on the roster, that chance just automatically goes up. And he's literally dangerous for the UFC to be on the roster. Like the dude shouldn't be fighting people in the UFC.
Yeah, everyone's saying. Let me guess. You had Victoria Leonardo on the other one.
Yeah.
Everyone's calling. I saved her. She was on. She was on a win heading into this fight.
Against who?
I don't know. Did she beat somebody? Am I mixing her up with somebody else? Or is she on 2 fight losing streak now?
Oh, that's fine.
Did she win one like 2 fights ago? Is that what it was?
She beat Mandy Bohm.
In her last fight, right? Mandy Bohm.
No, she got knocked out by Natalia Silva in her last fight.
Oh, and then the Mandy Bohm was before that. Listen, not everyone. You know what? You're right.
And then before that, she got her arm broken against Gato.
Right.
And then before that, she got knocked out by Manon Fiorot.
Oh, yeah, but here's my argument. Here's where I'm giving her another shot. She's got 4. She lost 4 to 5, but they're against Manon Fiorot, Melissa Gatto, Natalia Silva, and Wayne Kong. If Wayne Kong's a real deal, that's 4 real deal girls out of 5 fights.
Sure.
Like, dig up Chelsea Hackett for her to beat again, but come on. I'm giving her one more shot. She's a mom.
Yeah.
They had this big spiel about her. She lives MMA, that her husband is a fighter or a coach or some shit like that. And her kid, she named after freaking Ronda Rousey. I don't know, but
I feel bad for her because there are people that she can.
Last part was a lie. Just don't quote me on that.
She can probably beat someone at women's 125 in the UFC, but her manager, like, she needs to have a little bit of self-preservation. Like do some tape study if you care about MMA this much, and like stop taking people that could fight for a title and take another scrub.
Yeah. Give her one more fight. If she loses to a scrub,
whatever. I'm okay. I'll remove her.
All right. Let's do. Let me see real quick. Do we have the awards? Have the awards been announced? Let's see. We do have the awards.
Cool.
Did you look? Because I'll play Ben's role if you haven't looked.
No, I won't look.
All right. So we have 2 performance bonuses and a fight of the night. I'm gonna say, I mean, there was a lot of great performances and a lot of great fights. So I don't think they're bad picks what they picked. But I don't agree with the fight of the night, even though it's a real banger fight. But I think there was a better one. And no, I'm going to disagree on the. I mean, they're really good performances, but yeah, I'm going to disagree all the way. I'm going to give other people one. So let's hear, and everyone put in the chat what you guys would have done. And Dev, what would you have given your fight of the night?
Fight of the night, I would have given it to the main event.
Oh, okay. So you that's what the UFC did do. They gave it to the main event. I would have gave it to the women. I would have given it to the co-main event. I would have gave it to Hill and Ricci. But the main event, I mean, whatever. That was a great fight too. So okay, I'm
Jared Cannonier coming, not dying twice.
Just the insane output of the co-main event. But
They
yeah,
went for it.
yeah, all right. Give me your performance bonuses.
Performance bonuses, I would have gone with Marion Santos and Gerald Meerschaert.
So you agree with a lot of that. So they did give it to Jared Meerschaert, and I'm okay with Jared Meerschaert getting that. But that's not who I would have picked. But I'm okay with it. And the other one, they go Michael Morales, and I understand when they go Michael Morales. That was a great performance. I would have gave it to Marion Santos too for sure. Yeah. Like you face plant a guy like that.
He had the cleanest performance with the worst finish. Like
I know she was like an all-time massive favorite, and I never give it to the all-time massive favorites unless you one punch knock out a girl like you did. So I would have gave it to. I would have gave it to. And I'm gonna really butcher. I'm apologize ahead of time, sir or ma'am, if this is a woman. I'm gonna terribly butcher your name, so I apologize. But Matua Sablin, I apologize if I said your name wrong. Came in here just for Wang Kong. So Matua Sablin, and again, I apologize if I've said your name wrong. Favorite fighter. I'm giving it to Wang Kong. So
the red wave.
Well, a lot of people are throwing out ones. I said I got arrested. There you go. They said a lot of people going with like Morales and Kong and for main event for the fighter. So it seemed like I might have got some people going Angela Hill too. Angela Hill. So the top two fights, both kind of the nominations for the fight of the night. And then even though there was some pretty good, I mean, like Lalantop and Barshev was a great fight. Nunez and Caio Borralho was a great fight. But like, yeah, I agree the top two fights are the best. And then there was a lot of good performances. I mean, Loader had a great performance.
Sure.
I mean, you already mentioned Morales and Meerschaert, and I do actually Marcel Bazooka. I mean, that first round wasn't the most exciting, but the second and third round was pretty banging. So, and Reese would have probably got something if he got a stoppage the way he was, but he unfortunately couldn't stop him. So, all right, let's get to the Bulls and the Bears. The Bulls and the Bears are a stock market reference. You want to be on the Bulls list. You don't want to be on the Bears list. We do a hockey style 3-2-1. So Bulls is stock going up. Bears is stock going down. Dev, do you want to go positive or negative?
Let's go negative.
Let's go negative. All right. You mind if I go first?
Nope. Totally. Go ahead.
All right. So these all right. So my number 3, I'm going to go with tough. Not the tough winners, because I thought the winners were great tonight, but tough being it. And I'll tell you why. Nobody talked about this season. I remember, and it was, I mean, Valentine had this incredible knockout, like stepping elbow knockout. It was one of the first fights of the season. There was good fights this season. Good fighters too.
Yeah,
but nobody talked about this season. The biggest story coming out of this season was the clip of Valentina Shevchenko telling her team they can't drink water during practice. That was the highlight of the season. And it was like the second episode.
And then I don't even think that lasted more than one episode because they're like, F you, I'm drinking water. But what's crazy is
as they should, but yeah.
Yeah. And this was also their most international. So you'd think that it would be grabbing fans from, like they had a dude, the Zigamantas dude was like from Lithuania, Valentine is like straight up Swede Viking dude. Like they had people from all over the world.
And maybe around the world, they might be talking about here in America, nobody was talking about it. So, I mean, James Curry made a good point. Connor was coaching tough that, one season ago, 2 seasons ago, a couple seasons ago, and nobody was talking about that season. So, I mean, if Conor McGregor can't get you to talk about talk, nobody can. My number 2, I don't think it was a bad showing. We already talked about this. Like, it was not a bad showing, but it's got to be Jared Cannonier. Just because he's 40 years old and he's on a 2-fight losing streak in a division that there's a chance. So he still has the skills that he could actually win the title, but being 40 years old and all the rest of the guys that are in front of him, you figure you got Strickland, you got Borralho, you got Imavov, you got Brandon Allen, you got Shemaev, you got Rob Whitaker, and then I mean everyone's keeping the division warm until Bo Nickel wins the title. So it's he's just at 40 years old. That he had a run, but he'll never be a UFC champion. And my number one, I'm gonna go with Edmund Shabazian. And what I'm dude was winning every second of the fight, except for about 10 seconds. The last 10 seconds of the fight. His stock went absolutely, he's plummeted after this loss.
He should have. Look, I've been put to submissions and it sucks. And tapping almost is just like a natural thing. But like, at least go out on your shield once at like Shabazian. Like if you're gonna have so much one-way traffic, just let him put you to sleep, right?
Like, what do you have for the Bears?
Bears. My list is going to be really similar to yours. I actually do have Robert Valentin on my list because I watched Tough this year, but I didn't watch the episode. I would just fast forward to the fight on ESPN Plus, and then I would just watch the fight. And Valentin showed that he was a violent striker, and then his second win in the Tough House, he won via this weird armbar. And I just thought I had higher hopes for him. And the UFC is probably kind of punching air. They got a dude with gray hair winning the Ultimate Fighter in 2024.
Yeah.
Like Ryan Loder's literally got a decent amount of gray in his hair and his beard, and he's winning. He's just signing his first year, his 10-fight screw job contract is.
There you go.
Angela Hill, she fought a great fight and she's getting better. She's putting in all the work. She did everything she knew how to do to try to promote this fight, and she just came short again. And you got to kind of feel for her. And I'm not a huge Angela Hill person, but I see the work she's putting in, and I understand what it takes to get to that level. And for her to just continuously come up, just miss it by a hair has got to sting.
All right, let's go to the Bulls. The Bulls are the list you want to be on. Dev, I'll let you kick it off.
All right. My first Bull is Gerald Mearshart. He is the old dude that still has the rabbit he pulls out of the hat. He's beat Anderson Silva. He can say he's the only person that has more finishes in the UFC middleweight division, and he's doing this in 2024, taking a shit kicking, and look at him go. Like you wind that guy up, he doesn't stop. Number two,
he's on a winning streak too.
Finishes too. Like he's just out here finishing people. Like you gotta love it. Yeah. He's the old dog. Myron Santos, I think he had the most impressive performance overall. Winning the way he did, 24 years old. Like this is exactly who the UFC wants to, get off of the tough. He's the epitome.
Anytime we have a tough season, they have two weight classes. I always say there's like one tough winner, even though there's two different weight classes. Like he's the guy. If you got to pick out the two, that you're definitely more excited. Like, and I'm talking about all the way from the very beginning, like season one. Forrest Griffin, over Diego, go all the way down. That's your tough winner. And I think both. Anytime you win tough, your stock rises. Not necessarily like it's not what it used to be, but it simply was no matter what you do in your UFC career, you're on that Wikipedia page. Like you get that title for the rest of your life.
It's that much more branding the UFC can put behind you as well, which helps these young guys.
And I don't think the brand is that much, but it's more of just that like
little promotion.
If Ryan Loder never wins another fight in the UFC again, he will always be a trivia question answer. So I mean, that's more than 90% of the roster or 95% of the roster. So, all right, who else you have?
And then Caio Borralho, the dude, he's probably the best coach fighter on the roster right now. And he's very good. He also seems to be an incredibly good coach. Look what he's done with his team. Look what he's done. He's made so many improvements. He went out here and He fought the hardest fight he could against a guy like Jared Cannonier. He didn't wrestle at all. I think he kind of came out here to prove a point, and the point was proven. He just earned himself. He's one more fight away from a title shot, in my opinion.
Yeah, and generally speaking, the fighters that coach really well are usually not upper echelon guys.
Khabib's the only outlier.
Yeah, but he also really got into coaching after his father died. He took over. He retired. It's like different. I'm talking about guys when you sustain to the highest level. And I'm sure there's guys you could mention.
Sure.
Even like a Pat Miletich. Like he was that team really boomed once Miletich retired. I mean, I know he was at one point was still doing both, but like when he retired, then Hughes became a bigger star. Jens Pulver became a bigger star. Tim Sylvia ended up winning the UFC title. I know I'm aging myself. Randy Couture was always a guy that you get a lot of credit for his coaching. But the only guy right now, and this is a different, not necessarily coaching, but I mean a guy that you talk about like how Borralho is like he's so like cerebral at his like approach to fights. The only guy, and he doesn't really coach guys, but the way he fights, you can tell that he came up with the game plan is Belal Muhammad. The way he fights, like he's coaching himself through it.
I fight IQ.
Yeah, fight IQ. His fight IQ is off the charts. I had all the rest of the same ones you had, so I'm going to mix up, add some different ones. My number 3, Tabitha Ricci. The girl's 6-1 over her last 7 fights. Her one loss was a split decision to Lupi Godinez. If she wins that fight, we could be talking about like headlining a UFC card next.
Yeah.
If she, which is, shows you the power of one judge can do. Even though I did think she lost that fight. But my number 2, Wang Kung. I mean, I actually think I almost thought I'd put her number 1, but undefeated, the walk-off KO. I mean, great power, great post-fight interview. Has the backstory with Valentina Shevchenko. I mean, sold Matua Sablin, obviously huge part of the world is going to be backing her. So I think the UFC really hopes she becomes something. And my number 1, I'm going to go with Michael Morales.
Yeah.
He's 25 years old, which you got to love. He's undefeated. He's 5-0 in the UFC, and he's got a stoppage win over Neil Magny. And again, the Neil Magny's are declining, but that's still a big name to have. But not just having a big name on your record, but how you beat him. You got a stoppage in the first round. I mean,
violent.
There's no more fighting on ranked guys or anything. It's just bigger and better fights from from now on. Main card, high up the card. That's what he's getting. All right, let's get to the dude seriously. Do you have any dude seriously's?
I mean, this one's probably both on our list, but Chris Taioni, like watching the fight on a screen outside of the cage and then screaming, "Stop!" Like dude, what are you doing? And then also to Bisping, and I probably am the only nerd, a nerd themed card that noticed this, but when Bisping was talking about Lontop, he was talking about a very impressive.
I had that on my list.
A rear naked choke win for Lontop when actually he lost.
Yeah, he's no, he's so impressive in his UFC debut. It's like the guy got submitted in the first round.
Yeah, via rear naked choke. So you could tell Bisping is just on sherdog.com reading, and he got the wins and losses transposed.
No, the problem is he probably wasn't on Sherdog. He probably went to a different site. That's why he got it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually had that one on my list too. So I'm gonna start with I thought Cavalcanti was brilliant, but except what she said, I'm just sitting around waiting for someone to call me. I'll be waiting. I want to fight as much as possible. I'm always waiting to get called. Like, girl, you haven't fought in a year because of an injury. Like, you're not waiting. Dude, seriously. How about the judging in the Zach Reese Jose Medina fight? Not a single judge goes a 10-8 round. Like, dude, seriously? Like that? Not if the first round's not a 10-8 round, then what the hell's a 10-8 round?
And they scored a 10-8 round for Borralho. I mean, that makes sense, but
yeah, but I mean, that was the most dominant round of the whole night of every single fight. I mean, this is obviously some promotional work, and I know how it goes. You have to exaggerate, but Brandon Fitzgerald is saying UFC Noche, the most anticipated fight card ever. Really?
We just had UFC 300 like 4 months ago.
How about UFC 249? Habib versus Conor. How about UFC 200? How about UFC 100? How about Jones versus Cormier? How about McGregor versus Aldo? How about McGregor versus Mendez card? Dude, I was more anticipated for UFC 40, Ortiz versus Shamrock, Couture Liddell 3.
I'm more excited. I was more excited for Stipe versus DC for their trilogy. You know,
yeah, like this would be cool. Like this would be cool. Like the event, the whole.
Sure, it's gonna be awesome.
But to me and most people, it's still just another pay-per-view. Like cool. Like I'm excited for it. Don't get me wrong, but most anticipated ever.
We just had UFC 300 in April.
All we had to do was add in one of the most, and I wouldn't have said anything. But dude, seriously, come on, dude, the most anticipated fight ever. And then my last one. This is a good dude. Seriously, Caio Borralho. Did you know when they do those, like they always like to do the main event people walking into the arena? Did you see that blazer he was wearing?
No,
black blazer with the Tito Ortiz.
Was it dope? I'll Google it. Was it cool?
Seriously, like way to go, my man. Nice job. All right, Dev. Let's get to the grade of the night. What was your grade for this card?
Really quick, did you catch Slava Claus walking out to Christmas music?
Yeah, because it's that whole Slava Claus.
I thought that was cool. I've never picked that up before. This is a good card,
though. So Ben is a big rocker, and I like classic rock too. But I'm actually a big country fan. Even though Ben is the one from Texas, I love country music. And Reese came out to Morgan Wallen, which is one of my favorites. So that was pretty dope.
My grade, I'll give it a B. Like the main, we had a little bit of a slog through the early prelims. But I watched the PFL card on Friday, and that was just like a D minus F plus.
Yeah,
there's no such thing.
It's PFL.
But when I watched
everything,
like I watched that product, and then I just watched like this regular Apex card, and this was just so much better of a product. So I'm gonna give it a B. This is a pretty good card.
The PF, I want the PF to be good. I really do. They just I've said this, and I like a lot of people. When I say the PFL, I'm talking about like a lot of the old Bellator people. There's a lot of like I've been to because they came to Mohegan Sun like all the time. I'm so close to Mohegan Sun, so I like the people there. I really do. The old Bellator people. But I said I don't want to throw this other guy. This other guy, he's not as brash as I am. He is brash, but he kind of hides it a little bit. Or I just say it. So we say anything Bellator / PFL decides to do, like when they have their meeting and they decide this is what we're going to do, then just do the complete opposite. And that'd be the right choice. Every single decision you make, then just do the opposite.
It's so confusing because we're like this, they're like this far into the game. Like I was so excited after that WSFO like conversion, and I was like hyped on it. Like I was pretty hyped through the first season where like Chris Curtis was there, and then like for people like me and you to not care, that's a problem.
We're the hardcore.
We're the guys that should be defending PFL.
Yeah, I still watch because I'm a hardcore, but I'm like, I'm not excited. I don't remember the last time I was excited for a single PFL fight.
The Contender Series is a better product than the PFL.
Oh yes, yeah. And I actually think the Contender Series is going down a little bit, but yes, yeah,
it is.
It's not going down. It's become stale. Like you're used to it now. Like the when it first started, but we got off side rant. But as far as my grade, I'm going to go a lot higher, man. I'm going to go B plus.
Yeah,
I mean the fights, the action was good. I mean, we had a couple walk-off knockouts. We had, I think of obviously Wayne Kong, Kong Wayne, whatever, Wayne Kong's knockout. Santos's walk-off knockout, the main event and co-main event, both bangers. Mershot's comeback. Like, to me, it would have been an A, except for one thing. When the fight card starts at 7 o'clock and the first fight doesn't happen to 7:45, like, and I understand the fight fell out, but like, just they bump everything else up. And I'll go to my grave. They said, Dev, my final words are when people like they make confessions on their like deathbed, the serial killer has to confess his crimes, or somebody tells his like says to his kids like some final like profound thing. My final words as I die is gonna be like, main card should start at 7 p.m., 8 o'clock at the latest. The UFC, and this is all in me, but the UFC specifically, and I've said this, and I know Europeans, you got it worse than me. I understand that. But no, this was a great card. You could have won people over if they turned in. But nobody tuned into this except for the most hardcores. None of my casual friends are going to stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning to watch Jared Cannonier fight. It's not going to happen. But if he's fighting at 9, they might. And then that's how you become what's happening. And I've said, I'm going on a rant, but I go. What is happening, and I've seen it with my own friends, you're not getting casuals become hardcores. What you're doing is you're getting more hardcores becoming casuals because the schedule's freaking brutal. The fights every single week, which I'm not one of those guys. I don't care about, like, I love fights every single week. I really do. I mean, I do this show. I love it. My favorite part of the week is doing I like doing the preview show. I love doing the recap show. But 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, like when it's not going to happen, man. Like, people have lives. They have other things going on. Like, you're killing the NFL. Sunday Night Football is the big. I know you're not a big NFL guy, but Sunday Night Football is usually like that's the big marquee game of the week. But when the Super Bowl comes, they know more people will view the Super Bowl than watches like football every week. Yeah. They move this so Sunday Night Football starts at 8:15 is when the kickoff is. Dude, they move
in the middle of the day.
They move the Super Bowl up to 6. I know it's your time and Team Wars.
I'm on the West Coast.
Yeah, so it's like 3 p.m. They move it up to 6 p.m. 6 at night here in the East Coast. They move it up even more so people can go to bed. Oh, by 9:30, 10 o'clock, you can go to bed. You watch the whole game. Imagine the Super Bowl ending. I know it's different where you are, but where I am, the Super Bowl ending, and now the card starts. Like, what are you doing, guys? I just don't get it. Like, I've never heard a good explanation ever for them starting late like that.
They're a $1 billion company. They're the number one organization in combat sports by a mile. The UFC outperforms all other combat sports, boxing included. They have similar or better numbers to pro wrestling. They have enough pull. They have ESPN Plus by the balls, because the second the UFC goes away from ESPN Plus, everybody's deleting the app. Every single person listening to this right now, myself included, will unsubscribe from ESPN Plus once the UFC goes away from it. They have enough pull to not be doing this shit. For me to be complaining about it, I live in the great state of Washington, and I'm complaining about the start time. There's this card should have started at 2 p.m. my time.
Yeah, and people say, oh, well, it's only this time in the West Coast, but the West Coast people are used to starting. The West Coast people are used to watching football at 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning, and they love it. When I lived in I didn't live in. When I visited California, there was an NFL game. It was like, this is fantastic. I eat breakfast watching the football game. I loved it. But anyways, we'll get it. People have heard me rant about this a million times. I'm going to continue. It's like that's the hill I'm going to die on, guys. I don't get why you want to limit your freaking viewership. I don't get it. I never understood it, but
it's ESPN Plus. It's the Apex. Just throw the effing stream on like whenever y'all want to. Just do it. Like,
hardest one. Who's your listener of the night?
You know what? We've got a couple people that I'm not 100% familiar with, and I'm usually in the chat. Matua Sablan, Bob Broccoli, I'm Amen Report, Ninja Kitty, one of the OGs. I say we give it to Matua Sablan, and shout out to Bob Broccoli as well.
Bob Broccoli, he likes to troll a little bit. You know what? I'm gonna give it to a guy that we haven't given to in a long time. I'm gonna go James Curry. James
There we
Curry.
go.
He's won it before, but he's been solid all night. He had a lot of good content, so I'll give it to James Curry. So congratulations to Matua Sablet and James Curry for your listeners of the night. So there you guys have it. We'll be back. We actually have a week off. Happy Labor Day to everybody. We'll be back 2 weeks from now. It'll be the I don't know who is this, Sean Brady card, right? It's
yeah, Sean Brady, Gilbert Burns, which is
Gilbert
good.
Burns, Sean Brady. That's actually a really good card. So Gilbert Burns, Sean Brady. Until then, enjoy your Labor Day. Dev, great job filling in again, as always, being the third wheel for us. Thank you so much. Guys, like, subscribe, make comments afterwards, and we'll check you guys next week or 2 weeks.